Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm very mindful of the Laken Riley thing because she's close to where I live. I'm close to the University of Georgia, and that has to be one of the saddest incidents you've ever heard. This young lady goes out for a walk or a jog, and somebody's watching her, and just like this lady, Rachel.
Just like, yeah, just like this lady, yeah, and through no fault of their own, might we add, right? Through no fault of their own. So Rachel Morin was killed. She's a mother of 5, you guys, and she was killed by an illegal Victor Antonio Hernandez. He was arrested. Get this, in Oklahoma. So again, we're talking about using a tremendous amount of resources to track down an illegal, and I think he had a record also.
And he was stalking her previous to, they actually have Ring camera footage of him coming out of her house. So he stalked her. And that's been happening a lot. We just recently heard about a young girl up in New York who was raped by an illegal, and the vigilantes, which they should be, that guy right there.
Yep.
They went after him, and rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, a lot of times in a culture, these things are acceptable. Just raping girls. We've seen what's going on over in Europe, where you've got, men from the Congo, Afghanistan, etc., that just, group raping is just their thing. And they're having one hell of a time controlling that. And they've been trying to suppress news of that. But
they say in Scandinavia and in Germany and in France, that's the largest bulk of their crime. Like, you never walk around by yourself. Never. If you're a woman, you never walk alone. And you can't walk with just one other woman. You have to really walk in a group. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, it is bad. And again, this is, we're obviously America First patriots, and that means something to us. It means that the people that are in governance, they care about the people that they're governing. And if you care about the people that you're governing, you want to keep them safe from foreign invaders. That's just, it's common sense.
Absolutely.
It's common sense. And I just wanted to show you this and get your reaction. This is filmed at the border last night. And I
think I read like 30,000 people, mostly single men.
Look at this. Men of fighting age. Look at this, guys. Okay, so this is fresh video. I don't know where it's from. You are seeing some families, but who do you think is going to be taking care of those families? It's going to be us. It's going to be us.
I think I read a statistic too. They were talking about the number of American hires versus folks that are not born in America. And the number since 2018 has significantly decreased of American citizens who have been hired in employment. Some as low as, 2% of Americans only. So we don't know what the statistic is because honestly, I don't think they have it worked out, but it is decreasing rapidly.
And I wonder how honest they are about it. I really do. And to be fair, I don't know where that footage was taken. I'm trying to find out whether it was California or Arizona. Let's see. It was Jacomba, California. So yeah, I don't know the geography. To be fair, I don't know where that was, but it scares the hell out of me.
It scares me because now every state's a border state. It's the crime is here. Mark Robinson got on camera, talked about an illegal that was on the watch list or on the top 10 list.
There was a guy who had ISIS ties. That was one. And then 2 weeks ago, there was an arrest of a guy who had been on a murder spree in Charlotte. And that was another story here in North Carolina. So this can happen. This does happen. We are a border state. I'm going to talk a little bit later in the show about the statistics that they're admitting to, and it's going to knock your socks off. So here's a poll. So if you're a candidate, we're always talking about messaging. You might think, well, heck, I'm not in Arizona. I'm not in Texas. I'm not in California. This isn't an issue. Well, bull crap. It actually is. So this is a pretty reliable study. I mean, this is Rasmussen did this poll and found that 83% of likely North Carolina voters think it's important for the state government to use every available tool to combat illegal immigration,
including 58% who think it's very important. And at one point, we had a bill on the floor to mandate E-Verify, which is mandated anyway. I don't know why we have to have a bill about it, but here we are.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. E-Verify, it's going to say that workers with 25 or more employees have to use E-Verify. But it does give a loophole. Employees who hire temporary and seasonal workers do not. And so that is the loophole that needs to be tightened with E-Verify, because I mean, you could use seasonal workers in farming. And I know that, we're going to get pushback about that, but we cannot.
And that doesn't include 1099 workers, or does it? That's another question based on that story.
I don't know.
The interesting thing for me in that story, Sloan, is that it says 25 workers or more, because that's not the federal standard, just so you know. The federal standard is higher than that. If you work in corporate America like I do, we have to verify. You have I think it's 5 days. If you're not verified in 5 days, you're out.
Yeah.
If you don't have your passport to us and a way for us to verify, you are out.
Yeah, makes sense to me. So we need that bill. But I will say that there has been, there's a Senate bill that I think they just voted on that is going to require ICE cooperation.
Good.
Yeah, with all sheriffs.
So what we're doing here is taking down the sanctuary cities finally.
Right. And that really needs to pass in this session. I mean, that's critical. The voters want, I mean, if you're being purely political about this, the voters want it.
We need it. It's not a want anymore. If you're in a bordering county to a sanctuary city, let's use Buncombe County, and those surrounding that are not a sanctuary area, everyone suffers.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone suffers, because it wouldn't be a big deal at all for somebody to slip into a different a county, especially if they were already here illegally.
Right. We should talk about that. Let's talk about some of the epicenters of where illegal immigrants are in North Carolina, because I don't think a lot of people realize about the Newcomer Center in Greensboro, which is part of UNCG and is funded through UNCG. That is super important for people to understand. They actually work with NGOs across the state. You're looking at the counties that they work with, most of them. And there are NGOs that you can find through federal publications on the Homeland Security website that show where refugees and NGOs, which we know are taking in illegals,
yep.
They can call them refugees, they can call them newcomers, I don't care what you call them. They're bringing them in and telling them where to go. And I have that list. I've done that prior to this podcast. I've actually put out the entire list, and I'll be happy to bring it back, because people just don't understand that we are literally funding groups in our state to place these people in our state that are illegal.
We're going to talk about the composite of the folks that are here that are not naturalized and are here illegally, the ones that they're admitting to. But talk a minute about, because a lot of people haven't heard about this, the Greensboro, the former Hebrew school that's now being used to house young foreign men.
Well, they say it hasn't gotten one person in it, but we know that's not true, because there's buses going in and out every day. I'm sure they're not workers, but what they've done is the federal government has created a contract with the former Hebrew school, and they're going to house newcomers, or whatever you want to call them. And they say it's going to be dormitory style and specifically for children. But that's exactly what New Hanover said when they were going to take that school down and put illegals in it, but they wanted families in it. And we know that's what's going to end up happening. Now, we haven't seen the people in the buses there, but there are bus drop-offs in Greensboro, and I do have footage of it, where they do drop them off in a shopping center to be rotated into I think it's a former Rose's, which is an old department store, or
Yeah.
five and dime store, and they route them through there and give them all the instructions about where they need to go to do what.
Right. Well, I will say that, in working with school board members across the state, I'm hearing that education services are being rationed. And, in some cases, in Lee County, apparently there's over 42 languages spoken in Lee County public schools. That's a lot for a school system to take on. And in a lot of cases, children aren't getting the education they need, but our services are being rationed for sure. And if you think that we don't have to pay for the healthcare and take care of the healthcare needs of these people, think again. That's pie in the sky thinking.
Well, and I just try to put it in demographics of where I live. 10% of the population in this very small county, less than 10, it's 9.3%, attend public schools here, which is the majority of our tax base. 9.3% of the population takes up the majority of our tax base. I'm not in Wake County. I'm in a small county in Western North Carolina. Imagine what's going on in your county or out on the coast. And then add to it that we already have special needs children that we need to take care of and provide for. And they're the ones that are going to be taken from, not the average student.
Right. That's right. And so America first, and it is something that resonates with 83% of likely voters in that is a distinctly America first position. Look, you've got children who are in foster care who can't get care and resources. You've got a lot of children that need breakfast and lunch during the day to be provided by the government. We do not need to be taking from literal Americans, North Carolinians,
American children.
Yeah, I mean, this is this is unconscionable. The spirit is America first. It is. It's not a radical position. It is a sensible position when we are seeing all of our money go to Ukraine, when we're seeing all of our money go to others in these situations. And I'm sure that in these communities, people are seeing up close and personal that their resources that are paid for by us, we intend for it to go to our neighbors, our U.S. neighbors, are getting repurposed for others who are coming here illegally.
Well, here's the bottom line. Why are we paying these kind of taxes if we're not reaping the reward locally? Why are we doing that? It starts to make you question things. So I started looking at the numbers today. When you think about a small county, because there's plenty of them, and we all know rural North Carolina is what's going to carry North Carolina in the vote. And when they start looking at the population of school children that are being taken from to allow someone that is not an American, not a North Carolinian, to have services, and it's the top line of the budget in their county.
Yeah. And people are paying attention. People are definitely paying attention. And I know even casual news watchers, because I'll be honest with you, I mean, there's probably, when you look at it, probably 20% of all of us watch the news and focus on what's going on. And I got to tell you, and I know people that actively avoid it. And it makes sense. I would too if I could. It's just my job. But they know and they see. And when they do start paying attention in August and September, these feelings are only going to intensify, Margo. They're not going to get better.
Well, I think that's why we're doing this, to give people a chance to catch the reel of the world, so to speak, every Tuesday and Thursday, and catch up on what really is going on. Because, listen, a lot of people are just trying to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of stuff is done and hidden, not intentionally maybe, but just hidden from the regular news. So that's what we're here for. And this actually might be one of them, to be honest with you. I found this, and the OSBM, the Budget Management Services here, I think it was published in February 2024. So this is where my source is, right? So foreign-born population increased 8-fold since 1990. And I want to make one thing very clear. for you trolls who want to make a big deal out of this. I'm married to an immigrant. All right. So we have nothing against people who move here, and because hell, a lot of them appreciate this country more than natural born citizens. So I don't want to hear any of that garbage. We love people who love this country and want to become naturalized citizens. Love them.
Legally.
That's right. And we're going to break this down. Okay. So there's a big influx. Now let's dig into the numbers and find out what we're talking about here. So, but by the way, these are known numbers. All right. So 8% of the population here in North Carolina are immigrants. That can be, 14% is about the norm when you look at it everywhere. So that's kind of where it is. Now, out of that, 58% are not U.S. citizens. Maybe they're, green card, maybe they're school, whatever. And 65% of those, okay, are illegals, right? So I know I'm throwing out a lot. So what's the math on there? 365,000, roughly 365,000 that are accounted for. Okay,
that's larger than the Republican base in District 11.
Okay, so
meaning registered.
Right, and so now we come back to the naysayers who's saying, well, of course, U.S. citizens are the only one that can vote. Well, we'd like to be damn sure. By the way, I want to tell you about the composite of those numbers. The folks moving in or coming here from Latin America are decreasing, and folks from the Congo and other nations that are terror sponsors, the higher proportionality. That's kind of what the matrix is of the immigrants who are coming in
to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So let's match that with the domestic population who are coming to North Carolina. And the truth of the matter is we have bordering states, South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia. Those, we expect some people to migrate in and out of North Carolina, but what you don't expect is that the largest population to move to North Carolina of any state is New York. Yes,
correct. And this is where the immigrants, we don't have a breakdown whether these are illegals or people are here illegally. We don't have a breakdown of that. This is just where, according to the Office of Budget Management, that's where they reside. Okay.
And so, let's take a look at that for a second. So heavily Democrat Mecklenburg, heavily Democrat Durham, heavily Democrat Wake. I think Duplin, I don't really know.
It's conservative there. Yeah. But that's your farming. That's your hog farm, your chicken farm, and I know, let me tell you how I know. The first time I went to Duplin to do a talk for the GOP, they gave me, and Mark Walker was there. We both gave a speech there. They gave us beautiful baskets, but it really freaked me out because it was like the side of a ham. Now, Jewish people don't eat pork, but by the way, lovely people loved it. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to get this way. And they're like, son, you can't do that. This is this is the official thing. You've got to do this. You've got to take it. Well, I'm like, okay, fine. So Mark and I got out and here, take it. So the hog farming there is their whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't really know that this sort of industry was here, and so you can kind of understand, okay, they got migrant workers, right?
And Chinese company owners in the hog industry. It's the largest Chinese-owned business in North Carolina.
Okay. So Orange is far left. Union is not, but they're on the bubble. Guilford, Sampson. Yeah. So look, if here's my thing. If there's no foreign citizens voting, what do you have to worry about?
Correct.
Why are the leftists all a flutter about this? What's the big deal?
Well, and if you're following the law, it shouldn't matter, right?
No.
Because legally, you're not supposed to have people that are not Americans voting in elections. That's a federal law. But we have to take it down to the state level because our North Carolina election board makes their own rules.
Yeah, I've observed that before. I'm not a big fan. So, you know, for the more they scream, the more the left screams about stuff, whatever they're screaming about, you can tell what they're hiding. So I want to show everybody this. This is in, guys, this is in California. Look at where illegal are able to go and live.
Wow. Is that in San Diego?
I'm not sure where it is.
It looks like NorCal probably.
But I mean, you have to imagine. I mean, this is, you know, this is something that you would probably work all your life to be able to afford. And this is where illegals are housed in California. Let me see if I can figure out exactly what that is. Whoops. Yeah. And so again, when people see things like this, even people that aren't politically active, they come to one conclusion, Margot, and you know what it is? America first.
I think what we're seeing in Chicago and in Detroit, where, you know, Trump is really going out there in those small area rural communities that are inner city or really urbanized communities, and it's ticking off the fringe leftists because he's actually making inroads, and they're speaking up because they know that what is being taken is really the services that they've worked hard to get.
That they've really hard for.
And they haven't gotten them. They've been promised them, but they've never delivered on it.
Well, that was in LA, by the way. So in LA, right, you know, I mean, that's probably like a mid-priced place in LA, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you've got hardworking people that's not available. And I'm hearing that in New York, the prices of the hotels are astronomical. You know why? Because a lot of them
hotels,
migrants, right? I'm not going to call them migrants. I'm going to call them illegals.
Yeah, I think there's 11 of the largest hotels in New York City are now taken over by illegals.
So, guys, it's a very big issue. Now, sheriff races aren't until 2 years from now, and so the races that are important, obviously, we keep talking about Dan Bishop when we're talking about law and order. We're talking about too, you know, calling your rep today and saying, where are we on the passage of the mandatory cooperation with ICE? That's something we can do.
Absolutely. And it's a call to action that we all should take up. We should all be talking about how we can help each other, because even if you don't live in a sanctuary city or an area that they don't cooperate with ICE, which would be like Charlotte, there's areas around them. Yeah, there's Gadsden County that doesn't want that. So we all need to help each other.